Today, I want to talk about identity and the tools that you have that you can use to figure out who you are. Because chances are, Chumi, if you're anything like me, which I mean, chances are you are, okay? You have been negatively stereotyped. A stereotype is a labeling that people put on you that is false and has a negative connotation, which is what they use to label you. For example, the ghetto girl, right? Immediately there's a negative connotation to that. Now you are this over here, you are cheeky, you're all of this. And it's a negative connotation because it does not reflect the truth of who you actually really are. On the opposite spectrum of the stereotype is the archetype. The archetype is the role that you play. For instance, if you are a mother figure, you're the matriarch. If you're a father figure, you're the patriarch. Okay? But that isn't also the true essence of who you are. That is the role that you play according to culture or society or whatever the case might be. You can also sometimes find yourself playing the role of an archetype, like the jokester, if you are, for instance, the class clown. Or you can play the archetype of the trickster, if you like to pull the wool over people's eyes. Again, that is the role you are playing. And oftentimes, that is derived from wounding, that you take on this role or this particular archetype simply because you're using that to mask how you have been wounded. So if you are the class clown, that's the stereotype, but the archetype of that would be the jokester, right? That is a mask that you wear to protect yourself from getting wounded again in the way that you were wounded in the past. So you take on that role. Again, it does not reflect the true essence of who you are. And often, again, this can be found within structures such as family structures or community structures or religious structures, whatever structure can apply to your life. That is the role that we typically play. That is the archetypal role that we take on as part of our character and that we use as a mask to protect ourselves and hide the truth of who we are. However, when you take away the role playing of the archetype and you outgrow the negative connotation of the stereotype, you begin to realize that you don't quite actually know who you are. And this is when I encourage people to use any tool they can get their hands on to find out the truth of who they are. Because often people react to the real you, which is why you have to have an archetype to protect yourself. And also they will use the stereotype to label you so that you can hide the real you. In my reality, I have come to realize a tool that I have recently begun using. And these are terminologies used in tarot. For instance, when you are the magician, which I am or have been for a long time, you begin to realize that the magician holds up a mirror to people's reflection. And this is what people attack. They attack the reflection. And you think they're attacking you. And on the surface, they are. But in your essence, if your identity is as that of a magician, the power that you hold is holding up a mirror to people, which is why they come for you, Chomi, because they don't like what they see. And what they don't realize is that they're seeing the essence of who they are reflected back to them when they look at you, because you, in my instance, are the magician. So they attack and criticize you, not realizing that they are fighting what you reflect in them. But by the time you realize this, Chomi, you're on your own journey. At this point, you're the empress. Hello. You're no longer triggered by their attacks, which is what they were counting on. Not realizing that they were only fighting in them what you were reflecting back to themselves. And because you're still on a journey, Chomi, now you're becoming the Nine of Pentacles. I get it. and you use whatever you have. Remember, this is about using whatever weapon you can use to armor yourself. At this point, you hold up the wheel of fortune as your armor and your shield and your protection. But what does it do? It doesn't only protect you, it also attracts those who want to steal your pentacles, not realizing that you did not start off as the Nine of Pentacles. In your journey from Magician to Empress, on the way you become the Nine of Pentacles. Stay with me. You start off with the Ace, which is just the one. I like to liken that to your heart center, because I believe that that is what attracts all the goodness to you, right? But by the time you're sitting with your Ace of Pentacles, nobody's looking at you because they've already misjudged you and labeled you as something else. But you've got your heart center. And from your heart center, you're able to attract goodness and blessings into your life. By the time they realize that you've got this pentacle in your hand, which is your heart center, and they try by all means to attack you in order to get that one pentacle, it's too late. Your one has already become 9. And in that instance, you then use up every single thing that took you from the Ace of Pentacles to the 9 of Pentacles. You use every single one of those pentacles as your shield and as your armor to protect yourself against the attacks they use to try to steal your pentacles from you. And at this point, Chomi, each pentacle you are attracting and aligning with now was carved out when you had nothing but just one. And that one was assigned to you by God. And you were told by God, go within. When they speak about you, don't retaliate, go within. And you worked in that silence and unearthed each of these 9 pentacles from just one Chomi. From just the Ace of Pentacles, you worked and you worked and you worked and you healed and you alchemized and you transmuted and you did it, Chomi. You did it. And you begin to realize that now you're at a stage where you are attracting and aligning with those who reflect the goodness of God back into your life. You are attracting and aligning with those that want to collaborate with you, not those that want to steal and take from you. You are collaborating and aligning with those who recognize the work that it took to get from an Ace of Pentacles, to get from a Magician to an Empress, to get from an Ace of Pentacles to a 9 or even a 10 of Pentacles. And as they come into your life to collaborate with you, you begin to trade. Nobody's trying to steal anything from anybody else. You give me your pentacle that you worked hard on, that I can see that is sharpening in you in this area, that is probably a weakness in mine, and I give you one of my strengths that is a weakness in yours, and so the cycle goes, and so the cycle continues. And from that Ace, little one pentacle that was your heart, that suffered and withstood attacks from other people, and you went within and worked in silence and healed in silence and built yourself up to the point wherever you are in your journey. This is an encouragement to say, keep going. Wherever you are in your journey, you have an end goal in mind, a 9 or a 10 of Pentacles. And when you reach that stage and people come into your life, you recognize in each other the journey that it took to get to where you are. The ease with which you align with people, where you no longer have an imposter syndrome, where you are no longer battling negative connotations that have been put on you or that have been used to label you to keep you stuck. You've worked through that. And if you are still working through that, keep working through that. Because as you grow, you will begin to align with and attract people who have been on a similar journey to you and whose pentacles complement yours and reflect you back on your journey. Do not let people put you in alignment with the tools that you have to grow your identity and to grow who you know yourself to be. They will use archetypes against you to get you to play a particular role. They will use stereotypes with a negative connotation to label you. And they will criticize you, to manipulate you, to try to get you to prove yourself to them. Keep growing. Outgrow them, children. Outgrow the mindsets, outgrow the spaces, and even if you can't outgrow the physical environment, emotionally, you can put things, seeds, knowledge, resources, tools in you, in your mind and in your heart that you can use to grow the identity and root you further in the true identity of who you are. Do not let people put you in misalignment with yourself and the true character of your essence and the essence of who you are. Do not let people put you in misalignment with your true essence and the essence of who you are. Do not let them judge the tools that you use to gain knowledge over who you are. Because when you're in a war, you don't judge the weapon that you have in your hand. You use that weapon and you say, what can I garner with this weapon? What can this weapon teach me? What do I have that is reflective of the truth of who I am? Do not judge where you are in your process. Do not judge yourself within that process. And do not judge the tools that have been given to you to teach you more about who you are and that help you align with the true essence of who you are. And more than anything, children, keep